Hey, what's going on, guys? Tony here with another Tony's Take. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been kind of slow in the gaming industry, or at least like there hasn't been too many stories out there that have really motivated me to do one of these, right? There was some controversies going on a couple weeks ago with a certain Nintendo rep maybe sort of being an escort. I kind of didn't want to talk about that on these shows. Obviously, like, I know this is Tony's Take, but I'm still doing a Koalition thing, so I got to keep things somewhat on the level. So we're talking about that sort of shady stuff, not really something I want to talk about for the Koalition. Now before that, there were rumblings about the PS4K, right? That's something I could have done a thing on, but I decided not to do it at the time because it was just a rumor. It was all kind of unsubstantiated. I know everybody went crazy for it, but to me, I'm like, listen, nobody knows what's going on with Sony's plans yet. These were just rumors heard on NeoGAF and stuff. Not discrediting NeoGAF or anything. NeoGAF is actually a very good source for things. I mean, back when I was on SCF and Play, we got some good stuff off of NeoGAF. We got some people there. So I'm not dismissing it because of NeoGAF. I was just like, okay, we're only really hearing this from one source. I don't really want to do a Tony's Take on it because, again, everybody was doing it too on YouTube and stuff. So I'm like, I'm not gonna worry about that. So the thing is, with rumors, when you start hearing them over and over and over again, you kind of have to get to the point where you're like, okay, there may be something to this. Something may be going on, right? So tonight, literally, I guess 10 minutes ago, I'm over here, I'm just chilling, reading my comics, and the news dropped that the new PlayStation 4 is being codenamed PlayStation 4 Neo or PS Neo, something along those lines. So this was dropped by Giant Bomb. Hey, the bomb's dropped, right? So I'm gonna pull up the article here. I'm actually going to link it in the description below so you guys could see it for yourself. But it kind of reiterates a lot of the things that the other reports said, that this is going to be a more powerful PlayStation. It's going to be 4K compatible, all that. When this originally came out, and I said this on Throwdown, I said this was a very, very bad move, because if you have the regular PS4, then you have an upgraded PS4. What's going to make it different than a PC that you need to upgrade, right? I was not for that, because now you're not going to have the game, you're not going to have your old games being able to run on the new system. You're not going to have new games being able to run on the old system. It was going to, in my eyes, split the user base, and that's something that Sony, I know they have like 40 million PS4s out there, but you're going to essentially cut your momentum off right there, because people are going to be like, wait, you're going to come out with an upgraded system. Why the hell should I buy this, right? Why should I buy a current PS4? So that was my main worry. I'm like, oh, Sony, you're gonna fuck this up if you do this. But if this latest report, and remember, this is a rumor report, whatever at this point, so take it with a couple of grains of salt. If this is true, Sony seems to be doing this in a very smart way, where they're not going to split their user base. I'm still not 100% like a big fan of this, because if it was up to me, we'd ride this generation out for another 3 years or so, until it was like 5 years after they launch, right? Ride this thing out, then you come out with the PlayStation 5 proper. But it doesn't seem that that's going to happen. I mean, if you couple that with what Microsoft has been saying about how they want to start upgrading their Xbox One, it seems that console life cycles, I was going to say console life cycles are shorter now, but it seems like they're just morphing into something else. Maybe, I don't know. It's weird, but let's get right into this report here. And forgive me, because I'm literally just, scrolling through this. So, as far as the specs go, this is what Giant Bomb wrote. The current PS4 has 8 Jaguar cores at 1.6 GHz. I guess that's gigahertz. I'm not a tech guy. I apologize for that. The Neo is going to have 8 Jaguar cores at 2.1 gigahertz. Doesn't sound like that big of a leap to me, but again, I'm not a tech guy. The GPU, that's the graphics card, it's currently an AMD GCN 18 CUs at 800 MHz, which I'm guessing is megahertz. Neo is going to be an improved AMD GNC with 36 CUs at 911 megahertz. That sounds a little bit more significant. That's actually double right there. It seems like, you know, if we, I mean, the megahertz aren't double, but the GCN, whatever that is, that's double. So that seems to be pretty substantial. Then the memory, the current PlayStation 4 has a 8GB GDDR5 at 176 GBS. I don't know what GBS stands for. The Neo is gonna be 8GB GDDR5 218 GBS, so get a little bit of a bump there too for memory and stuff. I'm gonna read this right from the article. Games running in Neo mode. Actually, let me back up. So basically, starting in this October, let me see. Basically, it said starting this October, Sony's gonna make it so every game that's released will be able to run in normal PS4 mode, right? What we currently have, and also run at in Neo mode, right? That's how you kind of don't split your user base. To see, I'm going to read this from the article now. The Neo will feature a higher clock speed than the original PS4 and improved GPU and higher bandwidth on the memory. The documents we received, we being Giant Bomb in that regard, note that the hard disk drive in the Neo is the same as that in the original PS4, but it's not clear if that means in terms of capacity or connection speed. Okay, here we go. Starting in October, every PS4 game is required to ship with both a quote-unquote base mode, which will run on the currently available PS4, and a quote-unquote Neo mode for use on the new console, right? All this other stuff. Okay, in the documents we received, Sony offers suggestions for reaching 4K Ultra HD resolutions for Neo mode game builds, but they're also giving developers They're also giving developers a degree of freedom on how to approach this. 4K TV owners should expect the Neo to upscale games to fit the format, but one place Sony is unwilling to bend is on frame rate. This is important. Throughout the documents, Sony repeatedly reminds developers that the frame rate of games in Neo mode must meet or exceed the frame rate of the game on the original PS4 system. So yeah, basically they want either the frame rate to be exactly the same as whatever the PS4 game is, or be better, right? I don't know why they would want it to be worse, but here's the thing though, just because it says higher frame rate doesn't necessarily mean 60 frames a second, which seems to be that magical little sweet spot, right? The Neo will not supplant the current PS4. Very important right there. The Neo will not supplant the current PS4, but will exist alongside of it and use the same user environment. The PS4 Neo will use the same PSN store, connect to the same online communities, and offer the same user experience. So expect to see the same cross-media bar that you're used to. Players will be able to retain all of the purchases they made on PS4. Very important right there, because it would suck if you bought all this shit on PS4, then a PS4 Neo comes out, and then all your stuff is invalidated, right? That would that's the thing I was fearing. So it seems that they're gonna be able to play nice with each other, which is good. Reading on again, Sony seems committed to keeping the Neo and the original PS4 user bases connected. As such, there will be no emphasis on no Neo-only games, and Sony will not let developers separate Neo users from original PS4 players while playing on PSN. Likewise, Sony explicitly and repeatedly states that developers cannot offer exclusive gameplay options or special unlockables for Neo players. So don't expect Neo owners to get a level editor or a special Rocket League car that you won't have access to on your original PS4. Again, very, very good. That said, so long as both systems have the same feature, the Neo can run an improved version. A local co-op game that features 4 players on the base PS4 could offer an 8-player co-op mode on the Neo, for instance. But again, don't expect these differences to translate to online modes. Yeah, obviously not, because they want to keep everything nice and level, parity and all that jazz. PS4 base and Neo versions of a game will also have to have parity with regard to peripheral support. So don't expect Neo games to have exclusive VR modes, for example. By the way, a lot of people were speculating that Sony was doing this specifically for the purposes of VR, upgrading the PS4, which kind of makes sense. Sony makes no mention of PlayStation VR in the docs we've seen, so it's hard to know what that means for the persistent rumors that this upgraded PS4 will be able to support PSVR without the breakout box that the headset ships with. I don't know what the hell that is. That said, so long as the Neo's upgrades apply to PSVR games, developers should be able to get even more performance out of the Sony VR headset. Okay, whatever. I guess we don't really fully know what's going on with regards to the VR there. It says right here, though every PS4 game released as of October of this year will not need to support both the original PS4 and the Neo. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Neo will release in October. Additionally, games released in the late September window will require a day one patch that updates them to the Neo standards. Very interesting. The documents we've received explicitly note that developers are allowed to launch Neo-ready games before the Neo itself releases. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Lay the groundwork so when the actual console comes out, you already got a bunch of games ready for it. Games released previously to the Neo can take advantage of this hardware upgrade, but only if developers decide to patch their titles. The thing says here, this isn't surprising. This was never going to be a magical upgrade box. Basically, it makes sense. Like, basically, if the developer wants the games to be upgraded, they have that option. We'll see. I like what this thing says. It says here. It says, I would certainly appreciate it if Bethesda would give the Neo treatment of Fallout 4. So yeah, there you go. The Neo people. Like I said, I'm still okay. I don't know. I'm still weird about it because on the one hand, like I said earlier, I would prefer if Sony just rode this thing out. Just ride the console generation out, just like always, right? But it doesn't seem to be that way. So if you're gonna do it, if you have to do it, right? I guess this is probably the smartest way, and it kind of leads credence to the whole these consoles were launched underpowered, right? I never subscribed to that notion until somebody broke it down to me in a way that made sense. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they are kind of underpowered, so I mean, think about it. You have games that struggle to reach 1080p, they don't reach 60 frames a second. It's like rare, people were expecting that. So I guess because of the limitations, developers are saying, hey, we kind of need a more powerful system, guys. And it's still to the point where even though obviously PC gaming is huge and does generate more money than console gaming, the big titles, big AAA titles, they make most of their money on consoles. So, and they want those guys to, obviously they're not going to be on par with PC, but they want it to be closer to PC, until PC decides to freaking upgrade again. So that's it. There you go. Some of you guys on Twitter right now are asking me to do a Tony's Take. I know it's been a while. I'll try to keep my nose closer to the ground. But the thing is, again, I'm going to be completely honest. This thing is called Tony's Take, right? If I'm not particularly interested in it, I'm not going to do a video on it, because, my thing is I want, I'm just going to be honest. I want maximum, return on these videos. I mean, all the videos I do on these, they always bring in a ton of hits. That's what I want to keep doing, and it always seems that it works that way when I feel very, very strongly about it. So if I'm kind of not feeling strong about it, I'm like, I don't want to do that. But I don't know, maybe I'll do a one-off on something that's kind of sort of big, and we'll see what happens. Like, I know some of you guys were talking about, hey Tony, what do you think about Uncharted having a controversial ending? I'm like, well, I don't know, we'll talk about that when the game comes out. I'm not going to do a video on that. That seems kind of pointless, This I felt I should do a video on because I'm going to go with them actually going through with this. We've had too many reports now. I think this is legit, so I decided to do something on this. So that's it for this rather long video, but there's a lot to cover here. Let me know what you guys think. The PlayStation 4 Neo, are you for it? Are you against it? Will you buy one? Or are you going to wait until the PlayStation 5? Really want to hear what you guys have to say. That is it. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to, hit like on it, comment, subscribe to the channel, and check out the rest of our videos here on the Koalition.com. I'm Tony Polanco, and I'll see you next time. Later.